Guys, we're back for another hashtag Wednesday Match Play. We're a couple of hours late, but that's okay because this week is the PGA show, and I'm not there, and that's okay. It's been like 5 years since I've been, and you would think I moved to Florida, and I'm 3 hours from the convention center, and I don't go. I have people all over the country and the world that are here. Nobody's got time to swing down to Naples to play 18 holes, but that's okay. They're having a good week, and my buddy Russell Warner was at John Daly was doing a concert tonight, and he was Facebook Living some stuff. So keep rubbing it in, guys, that I'm not there. But somebody else that isn't there is joining us tonight, but we'll get to that here in a second. The hashtag Wednesday Match Play is presented by Eat Sleep Golf. And, oh, yeah, speaking of the PGA show, where are Eat Sleep Golf? The PGA show. Yeah, guys, I hope you're watching, and I hope you're having a great time. I want you to be having a bad time because I'm not there, but that's okay. Now, tonight's guest she came in late, and it's okay because I was sitting on the couch ready to just give up and wasn't even thinking about this guest joining us. But this guest has been on the show before, but not as though hashtag Wednesday Match Play. She was on the Friday Foursome. I was thinking, okay, was it in 2016? Maybe it was late 2015. No, 2013. But it's not, it feels like it was yesterday, like, completely honest. Like, I don't feel like she and I have lost touch. And excited to have her back on the show, promoting everything she has going on. And it couldn't have come at a better time because what she does, and she is Kelley, and I am so excited to have you back on the show because it's been such a long time. But what she does all revolves around the LPGA. And it's a really cool concept, and I feel so bad that I don't have time to participate. But Ladies Dream Golf is a fantasy golf league that she runs online, wrapped around the LPGA Tour, and I could talk more about it, and I'm going to let her take a couple of minutes to introduce it. So, Kelley, welcome to now, I guess, back to the show, but to the hashtag Wednesday Match Play.
Well, thank you, Ricky. It's actually really fun to see you. I mean, we have stayed in touch, Ricky. I've been to Phoenix a couple times to see you. Of course, you're not in Phoenix anymore.
I'm not. So now you have to go a little bit further east and a lot further south to come down.
Well, absolutely. I hope to make it that way. But yeah, thanks for the introduction. Yeah, I've been running Ladies Dream Golf since 2013. In fact, when I came on your show before, it was when I had just started, and so this is our 5th season, and it's really involved. It's really evolved into something that I didn't even have envisioned when I first started this. I started this as just, why isn't there fantasy golf for the LPGA? Hey, I could write that. And so it was a really simple site. It's grown into this really amazing community. And now what we do each season is we sponsor a Symetra Tour player who is trying to make it to the LPGA. And so this year we're doing it kind of like a crowdfunding ladder where you pick different levels and you get cool gifts from the golfer that we're sponsoring this year. Her name is Julia Roth. And so you get cool gifts from her and from Ladies Dream Golf, and you get different levels of play of fantasy golf. And the response has been great. We've already had like 50 people donate. And by the way, I want to say anybody who wants to play for free can play for free as well. So we run 2 different fantasy golf games. They're a lot of fun, and it's really busy tonight. We have a lot of people getting registered and getting their picks in because the LPGA kicks off first thing in the morning.
That's awesome. Well, it is cool to have seen so many things change over the years, and I went back and I looked because I was like, when was she on the show? So you were on the show April 26th, 2013, and it literally feels like it was yesterday. It's hard to believe that the Google Plus golf community started in 2012, but that's still going on, and it's growing, and it's as big as ever. So it's really cool to see you still a part of that community and to see you still popular and popping up on Twitter all the time. And I have seen you a couple of times in Phoenix. So now, and if there's an excuse for you to come to Naples, let it be the LPGA Tour. When the CME
Absolutely.
Group Tour Championship ends the LPGA Tour season, it kicks off tomorrow, but it's going to end down here in Naples at Tiburon Golf Club. So let's find an excuse to get you down here. And I know a guy, so we'll help get you settled in here in Naples. So
absolutely.
So a lot has obviously changed since then. That's really cool. But the PGA show is this week. Everybody seems to be at the PGA show. I mean, everywhere I turn around, the annual tweet up, which John Graham and I actually started 8 or more years ago, and I'm not even sure John's there this year. He's been on the PGA Tour following some guys, so he's probably in California. But I'm not there this year, but Megan Padua and Vicky Vanderpool and all the people that were a part of that from the very beginning are still there. And I think Megan was running a little bit late because she was tweeting about the host being late to the event. But that all being said, the PGA shows this week. Why aren't you at the PGA show?
You know, I've never been there. I've never been to the PGA show.
Oh my goodness, let's fix that next year.
Well, you know, I live in Albuquerque. I don't know if we mentioned that, but I live in Albuquerque, which is not the greatest place to live when you're a professional golf fan. There are no tournaments that really come close, except for Phoenix. In fact, I'm planning on going to Phoenix in March for the Founders. But even the Symetra Tour events don't come too close to here. So everything's so far away, Ricky. Why don't they like travel around? It's always in Florida.
Well, I mean, what's funny that you say that though, because like I was thinking when I was considering moving here, I've gone from Indiana where we don't really get much of anything, and then I went to Phoenix, and now I'm in Naples. I don't know where I go from here. Like, do I go back to Phoenix because the weather just keeps getting better, and it's been really cold this week and last week in Phoenix, and it's been not cold here. It's been like 80, 78 maybe. So it's not cold here. So I'm just traveling and following the weather. But
aren't you gonna miss the 120-degree weather? I thought that's what you thrived on.
I am so like, so the other day it was like 68 and I had to turn the AC off because it was so cold. But I am excited for the humidity because I know that it's a different heat, and they say that here in Naples the same thing happens that happens in Phoenix. It gets hot there, so people leave and people don't go out and play golf. It gets hot and humid here, which I'm fine with because I'm from the Midwest. So I get humidity. I might not get humidity as it is in Naples, but I'm excited to be here and to see it and go through a season. And I've got 36 holes at Tiburon that I can play all summer long. So it'll be a fun challenge. Now, the LPGA, as you said, kicks off tomorrow, and I was talking a little bit before we went live. It's at Ocean Club in the Bahamas, which is a Troon-managed facility, and most of the guys from the corporate office, it seems, are there this week for that. A couple of them are here in Florida for the PGA show, but Troon has been really busy lately. They had the LPGA and PGA Tour was here in Naples at Tiburon. Last week, the PGA Tour was at PGA West in La Quinta, California. The European Tour was at the Abu Dhabi Golf Club in Abu Dhabi. They've had Kapalua with the Tournament of Champions. So Troon's really busy right now, and they kick off the LPGA. That's kind of cool. I didn't think of that. The first and last LPGA Tour event are at Troon facilities. That's really cool. So now that being said, are you excited for the event and the start of the 2017 season?
Absolutely. You know, the off season. Well, I actually need the off season. The off season is important for me because I use that to make changes to the Ladies Dream Golf website. I kind of change it up every year, and so I need that off season. But as it gets closer and closer, I realize how long it's been since I've actually got to watch a little bit of golf, and so really excited for it. In fact, the player that we sponsored last year, Brittany Benvenuto, got her LPGA card, but she has limited status, and so she played in the Monday qualifier. Didn't quite make it. I guess they had to really go out in some pretty bad weather conditions on Monday to play in that Monday qualifier. But the weather's supposed to be good. And so, you know, in the past, there has been some rainouts there in the Bahamas. So the weather's supposed to be good. And yeah, I'm absolutely looking forward to it. And there's a lot of rookies that I got to watch on the Symetra Tour last year. So I'm especially interested in seeing how the rookies do their first tournament out.
Well, that's really cool. And I've not played that course, but I've been there, and it's a fantastic facility, and it's a great place to kick off the season. I saw Amelia Lewis and Lexi played at a practice round the other day, and they looked like they were having a good time with taking selfies. But it's funny because I'm like, I can't see the beach from where they were standing. So now, out of all of the people in the field this week, who do you think is going to win?
You know, I haven't had a lot of time to even think about that. I have been so busy getting the website up and running and kind of getting everybody to participate. But I did notice that, let's see, NB's not playing. I noticed that, which is no big surprise. I mean, I hate to be boring, but I'm probably going to say Arya Jutarnagarn is probably my pick. But it's always hard to say how people are going to do after the off season, because we don't know who might have injuries. We don't know who really made a breakthrough during the off season. So it's hard to say who's going to really come out. It'll be interesting to watch for sure.
So I have to know, and this is a two-part question: is Les Bailey still a member, and how many members do you currently have?
So Les, I haven't seen Les in a while.
He's been a stranger in the golf community too. I wonder what he's been up to.
But we have over 400 registered users of the site. Typically, the way it seems to work out is we have anywhere between 150 and 200 participate in any given week. So I started out when I first met you and I was trying to promote this. I think I had like 25 people playing at that time. So we've grown a lot, and I wanted to mention too that the LPGA had an official fantasy golf game last year and the year before, which was also really fun. And most of the people that played Ladies Dream Golf played the LPGA fantasy golf as well. But it doesn't look like it's up this year, or it's not up now. And so those of you who are watching who enjoyed the LPGA fantasy golf and you're bummed that it's not up, come play Ladies Dream Golf.
That's not a selfless plug whatsoever. I love that.
No, not at all.
Maybe the LPGA was like, this is so successful, we don't even want to mess with it.
Oh, no. I'm still small potatoes, because they had, I think they had about 1,300 playing last year. So they had a lot of participation. They have the advantage of the whole marketing department of the LPGA. But it really was a fun game, and it was a nice compliment, because I run two different games, and it was completely different than the two games that I run. So it was nice to have that variety.
So Michelle Wie signed with Callaway, and that I only saw because that literally took a backseat to Tiger. What we thought was Tiger buying TaylorMade, which I still think is happening maybe behind the scenes, but a separate announcement. Tiger signing with TaylorMade, that's an interesting shift, because now Tiger's wearing Nike. He's playing TaylorMade irons, woods, and wedges, and he's playing a Bridgestone ball and a Titleist putter. So,
but you're not still obsessed with Tiger at all, right?
Yeah, it's disgusting.
How do you know all that?
And I'm curious though, is that something that you are focused on, news type things that are associated with the LPGA players, or are you just strictly focused on week in and week out, who's playing, who's going to win, and the fantasy aspect of it?
Me personally, I don't pay a lot of attention to equipment. I'm really more interested in the social aspect, and I guess that's one of the things that drew me to the LPGA, is because the players are very social, and they're very active on social media, and they're pretty easy to get to know as well. And so I'm not an equipment junkie, but I can tell you that a lot of the people who play Ladies Dream Golf certainly are. But that's not something that I pay a whole lot of attention to personally.
So tell me more about the Pick 4 challenge that you have on the website.
Okay, so I have two games. One of them is the Pick 4 challenge. That one is the simplest. On that game, each tournament, I take the entire field and I sort it in order of Rolex ranking, and then I break it into 4 groups. And you have to pick one player from each group that you think is going to do well. And once the tournament is over, you get to add the dollars up. For each dollar your players earn, you get a point. And it's as simple as that. And you can play from week to week. You can play, as many or as few tournaments as you want. Now, the other game that I'm running is called Make the Cut. That one's a little bit more complicated, and that one you have to start at the beginning of the season. You can't come in, even after the first tournament, you can't come in. And that one, you simply pick one player that you think is going to make the cut that week. And if they make the cut, you get to move on to the next week. And if they don't, you're out.
Wow, that seems aggressive. Now,
Well, I mean, how easy is it to pick one player that's going to make the cut, right?
trust me,
It sounds easy, but it's hard.
Yeah. So let's say that we go through this entire season. What are the winners? Are there winners? Like, is it ranked? Do I get to see who I'm competing with week in and week out? Because if I were to play, I'd only want to beat less. That's kind of would be my goal.
Yeah, of course, you get to see who the other players are, and so while right now the pick period is open, meaning people are going out and making their picks, so you can't see who they're picking until the pick period ends. Which is 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. At that time, you get to see who everybody picked, and I post preliminary results after each round, so you can kind of see how you're doing. And so yeah, that's the idea.
That's really cool.
And we do get little mini competitions going on between groups of friends.
So the LPGA Tour for a while there was kind of bottom of the barrel, and nobody was really paying attention to it. And we thought that Lexi was going to help bring that back. And she was kind of like the forefront and the leading edge of the LPGA's success. And that's changed in the last 2 or 3 seasons. And having been able to be here at Tiburon when the LPGA was here, it was so cool to see them and see how they work and the team that runs their digital marketing, et cetera. So it was really cool to be able to see that. But I'm curious your thoughts on where the LPGA Tour has come and what you think the next 3 to 5 years are because of how popular they've gotten. And an example that I'll use is there was a certain person in the media who was utilizing Periscope and was restricted and strapped. Her PGA Tour credentials were taken from her. And I'm curious because the LPGA Tour kind of is doing that and allowing that and doing it on their own. So that all being said, kind of where do you see the LPGA Tour going, and what are your thoughts on kind of their millennial mentality, so to speak, in terms of their digital marketing strategy?
Wow. Well, I mean, I see them growing for sure, and I think they're under great management. I've truly I came into golf kind of late in my life. I've only been golfing for about 8 years, and I've only been a fan of the LPGA for about the same amount of time. And so in that period of time, I've seen it grow a lot, and it seems like each season they have more tournaments. And I think there's going to be a certain point where they really can't keep adding more and more tournaments because, just from travel and all that type of thing, it's logistic-wise, it gets more and more difficult. But I really do. I mean, I see it growing. I've only been to a couple of LPGA tournaments in person, and the crowds have been really, really, really energetic. And I think the fans of the LPGA are very loyal fans. And let's see, what was I going to say? I've actually been to more Symetra Tour tournaments than I've been to LPGA tournaments, because that's kind of my focus is the ladies that are trying to make it to the LPGA. That whole dynamic is really interesting to me. How much they're willing to kind of scrape and scrimp and do whatever it takes to make it, when really only the really top ladies are going to make it. And so it's interesting to me getting to know these ladies and kind of what drives them, to get there.
So you mentioned her earlier, and I'm curious to learn more about her. Julia Roth, how do you know her? Where did that connection come into play? And what's her role with what you're doing on a daily basis?
So so whenever I started kind of making this transition to say, hey, I want to do more than just run a fantasy golf game. I want to make a difference. I want to help someone. So I wasn't quite sure how to go about finding someone. So I actually put out a little announcement 2 years ago that I was looking for Symetra Tour pros to sponsor. And I got a really good response. I got like maybe 6 or 7 of the Symetra Tour gals that got in touch with me. And so I got to know several of them at that point, and it was really tough to choose who I was going to sponsor. I wanted to sponsor all of them. And so that's when I met Julia, is when I had initially, talked to several of them. And she just was really great about keeping in touch with me. And I followed her her progress last year. Last year was her second year on the Symetra Tour, and she made amazing improvement over her rookie year. Her rookie year, she finished 109 on the money list, and last year she finished 39th. And so she's kind of showing that she's really on her way. And so we just kept in touch, and she said, I mean, she just flat out asked me, can I be your pro for 2017? And I said, absolutely. And she's from Sweden. And I'm sure you've heard the name Madeline Sagstrom. Julia knows her real well. And of course, Madeline finished #1 on the Symetra Tour last year and is going to be playing this week in the Bahamas. And so that's how that came about. Her role is really just to help promote Ladies Dream Golf. She's going to be writing kind of an exclusive letter to those people who are donating to Ladies Dream Golf. Like every other month or so, she's going to be writing a letter, letting them know what she's doing and what she's up to. So really, she helps me promote Ladies Dream Golf, and I help promote her. And it's kind of a win-win, and the fans get to know her a little bit better, whereas they might otherwise not really know who she is. And so it's their chance to get to know someone who's on their way to the LPGA.
That's really cool. That's cool that you do that, and it's kind of like you're giving back and kind of showcasing what's going to be the future of the LPGA by doing that. And that's really cool that you're able to do that and willing to do that, and the girls are excited about that. So that's really
absolutely
cool.
And it's been so much fun. It's just, selfishly, it's been such a blast for me. Obviously, I put a lot of work into Ladies Dream Golf. I do it all by myself. I designed the website. I've written all the code behind it. I do all the marketing. And I have a full-time job too. So
yeah, let's make sure that people understand that this is a hobby. This is not your full-time job. So.
Right. This is a hobby. But as you can probably tell, I love it, and it means a lot to me.
Well, let me challenge you personally to start posting more updates and to get more active again into the Google Plus golf community, because it's as big as it's ever been, and I would love for your growth to be aided by the people that are in the golf community, and you have full reign to post and share and do whatever you want. One of the things that we did is we added a couple of moderators this year in an effort to help make sure, one, that the data stays clean, because for every post I get an email and a push notification and a notification on Google Plus, because I am obsessed with the quality of the content. And it's to the point where I'm going 5, 6, 10 times a day to sift through that, and I needed help. Wow. So it's cool to be able to say that and to have that have grown into what it is today. And I want you to be able to help grow what you're doing in that capacity. So feel free to post there any whatever you want, updates, and trying to get people to join and whatever it takes. I highly encourage you to do that. So the floor is yours.
I will try to get back into that. I was away from Google Plus for a while, and they changed a lot. And when I got back, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what I'm doing now. So I have to spend a little bit of time with the new Google Plus, which I haven't quite mastered yet.
I will say the changes, and they change more often than they should, but I say that the changes are usually and most often for the better. They've made a lot of changes within Google Plus Hangouts. So what we're doing right here, it's now not within Google Plus, it's all within YouTube. You have the ability to create events so we can schedule them in the future. It's a different invite process. You might remember the lower thirds that we would have at the bottom of the screen. Those have been stripped, so those are no more. It's just a lot of things that, and what's kind of cool about it, and to be so active in it, is I feel like Google Plus and Google itself they're just always in experiment mode. Like they're always changing things and trying to find what works and what doesn't. And there are times
which means you're always using a beta version of everything.
and not as bad as that might feel and seem, it's still Google, and we as users can't afford to ignore that. And one of the things that bothers me the most about Google Plus is that I can't put pictures in replies to comments, because that is a big thing that I utilize a lot on Facebook. And quite frankly, I would leave Facebook tomorrow, but I can't, because Facebook is what it is. But it's unfair to compare the two. But Google Plus specifically because of communities and because of Hangouts. I can't watch a Facebook Live feed to save my life because they all buffer. I hate Facebook Live. Yet this right here, there could be 10 people in this room. We're having a face-to-face as if we're in the same room conversation, and we're on other sides of the country, let alone we could be on the other sides of the planet. So that being said, hashtag end rant. Next question. You have a blog on the website. Talk to me a little bit more about that, where the content's coming from. And I don't think you're the one writing all of that content.
Oh, no, I'm not writing any of the content on the blog. So which I keep on meaning to, but it's the time thing. So the blog is for the players that I sponsor. And so if you go look now, you'll see some blogs from Brittany Benvenuto from last year, as well as Sandra Angulo. She was another player that I sponsored last year in a smaller way than Brittany. And so Sandy has some blogs out there. Brittany has some blogs. And so far, Julia has written one blog this year, kind of an introduction. So that's for the players as a way for them to communicate with the Ladies Dream Golf community.
Very cool. And as a blogger, I can applaud that effort. That's cool. So you on the website, and they haven't started yet because the tournament hasn't started yet, but you have LPGA stats. What stats are you delivering? What powers those stats? And personally, how often and how much do you care about stats?
So the stats kind of came about as a side effect of what I was already keeping, because I was already keeping track of, all the tournaments, how much each player earned in each tournament, because I needed that information for the points that I gave to my fantasy golfers. And I finally realized I have all this data. I might as well put it out there as stats. And so what I do is I keep the stats from the previous year. So right now the 2016 stats are out there. You can go and you can just look in of all the players, how many, let's see, what do I put? You put me on the spot here now, Ricky. Really, how many tournaments they played in, how many top 10s, how many top 20s, how many cuts. And so you can look at the whole list in sorted order, or you can search for a particular player and see how they did during 2016. It'll show their Rolex ranking at each point, for each tournament that they played in. And it's used a lot by the fantasy golfers as they're trying to fix, especially like for Make the Cut. It's really convenient because you can go out there and say, okay, sort by how many cuts all the players had in 2016. Find all the players that had no cuts, but then you want to sort it by how many tournaments they played in, so you can see who played in a lot of tournaments but didn't have any cuts or only got cut once or twice. So like I said, it was just kind of data that I was gathering anyway, and I put it out there just to help the fantasy golfers. But I have kind of used it a couple times just, for my own purposes, just when I'm, gathering information about a player out of curiosity, because I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I find it's a little bit easier to get information than on the LPGA site, because when you go to the LPGA site, you can search you only can look at one player at a time. Whereas on my site, you can see all the players all in one nice, neat little report.
Now that's a good segue, because my next and final question before we get to the back nine is, do you have an official relationship with the LPGA? And if you do, be careful if they're watching, because they might have a question about that relationship. But if not, why not? Because it does make sense, whether it's Symetra Tour or LPGA. And I'd be curious to even know how connected the Symetra Tour is to the LPGA. And I don't know, but I look at it as almost like Major League Baseball, AAA, AA, A, like that tiered level. Obviously, Major League Baseball knows what's going on in AAA because those are the guys that are coming up. Same thing with Symetra Tour. Those are the girls that are going to be coming to the LPGA. So
right.
Do you know much about their relationship? And if you don't have an official relationship with the LPGA and or the Symetra Tour, is that something that you want and are working towards?
I do. Okay, first of all, I do not have an official relationship with the LPGA. And I think I told you this story back in 2013. At one point, I had somebody from the LPGA contact me and ask me about my website. and it was from the legal department, and they said that they would be in contact. And so, I mean, I answered all their questions, and but they never got back to me. So I hope they don't see me as competition, because that's not in my intent at all. You know, I think what I've done is I've rallied together some really enthusiastic LPGA fans that were already there, and they're still LPGA fans, and it just actually makes it more fun to be an LPGA fan. Anybody who's played fantasy sports knows that it just kind of gives you that extra reason to watch and that extra reason to be excited about it. And I do think there is a very close connection between the LPGA and the Symetra Tour. If you've noticed, they've gotten their websites to look almost the same. They used to look quite a bit different. Over the last couple of years, you can tell it's the same web designer that's doing both sites, and they're keeping their stats in the same way and all that. So I think there has to be some kind of commonality in the way that that's managed, but I don't really know the specifics.
So it's been so long since you've been on the show, and I don't know what we called it back then. I should go back and look, and what I should do is I should just like dedicate a couple of hours and just watch them both back to back, because it's creepy how similar it is. But I think partly because you and I have stayed so close over the last few years. But now I again don't remember what it used to be called, but now we're ready for what's called now the back nine. It's just 9 fun questions, and
oh gosh, okay.
We have to start with the LPGA. Yeah, that starts tomorrow, but I am Tiger's biggest fan, and he is back starting.
I thought you were going to say, and he is Tiger's biggest fan too.
What he might be. I mean, he seems to be the kind of guy that would really love himself, but he is back. How do you think he performs this week?
Is he playing this week? That shows you how much I know.
How do you not know? Yes, he's playing at Torrey Pines, a tournament he's won 8 times.
He's won 8 times at Torrey. Well, I can't say that I would expect anything but brilliance from him, actually. So.
And this might be the best interview I've ever done, because that is exactly what I was thinking. Because if he doesn't play well, and all of these people on Twitter and Facebook and everything, oh, he's gonna announce his retirement this week and he's done, and yada yada yada. The dude is not done.
If he was gonna retire, he would have already retired.
Yeah, he ain't done. When I say he's back, he's finally back healthy, and this is gonna be a good year. They asked him in an interview today, do you think you will win this year? And he said, I don't know yet, which means he's sitting there thinking, yeah, I'm going to win. I'm going to win 3, maybe a major. So here I come. So that's a good answer. You're really active on Twitter. What other networks are you using? Facebook, Instagram, anything else?
I do. I use Facebook, although like you, I don't enjoy using Facebook. It's a necessary evil, honestly. Because there are a lot of people who play Ladies Dream Golf that is their primary platform. And so I definitely do Facebook and I do Twitter. I do a little bit of Google Plus, not nearly as much as I used to. I have
soon to be a lot. Soon to be a lot.
Exactly. I do have my own YouTube channel. So I've done a lot of hangouts with the Symetra Tour players that I've mentioned. And so those are all out there. They're all archived out there.
In an effort to get more of them involved in the golf community, I would, and Eat Sleep Golf just the same. Especially the ones that you're working with and sponsoring, we get them on the show, on this show. I mean, let's cross promote this thing. Like let's help you grow as big as we possibly can. That'd be really cool.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I don't do Instagram. I've tried a couple times. I can't really get into that. I'm too old, I guess. I don't know. But that's it. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube are the main ones.
34 is not too old. Do you listen to music while playing golf?
No, not while playing golf.
Oh, see, I'm starting to get into it a little bit more. When I'm playing a fun round, I have no problem with it. So what is your favorite LPGA Tour tournament? You got a bunch of them to choose from, and every year you're getting more to pick from.
That's a good question. I guess I'm going to say Founders, because that's the one that I get to go to in person. All the other ones I just watch on TV.
Does that tournament bother you that it's on 2 different golf courses and it's 9 holes of one and 9 holes of the next? Does that bother you?
No, it doesn't bother me.
Because it does me a lot.
Why does it bother you?
Because it's 2 different golf courses, 2 different designers. Like it's last year, I don't know what player it was, but she was like on a 59 watch before she even teed off. She was like 9 or 10 under on the front 9, and then she shot like even or 1 over on the back because she played a different golf course. Different golf. It bothers me. What golf ball do you play?
Oh my gosh. You have to realize I am an amateur. So I actually play Ball Couture. So Ball Couture is one of my sponsors at Ladies Dream Golf. I have several sponsors this year that are providing prizes, and Diane from Ball Couture has sent me balls, and so I've been playing with them, and I really like them. They're a slow speed golf ball. And,
that's really cool.
And they're really colorful and pretty.
Who cares about the ball? They're colorful and pretty. What is your favorite golf movie?
Oh. I'd say Tin Cup.
That's a good answer. I want it to be Happy Gilmore, but only because it's hilarious. But I think Tin Cup is that's a good movie. Like that's just a good movie. Since you're so active on Twitter, pretend that we've never met and you were selling me Ladies Dream Golf. Do it though in 140 characters or less.
Oh, Ricky.
Those characters count.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Ladies Dream Golf. Oh my gosh, that is tough. We are fans of professional golf and supporters of professional golf. Come play with us.
I like that. Hashtag come play with us. I love that. Now, we were just talking about Tiger, and we're going to talk about him a little bit more.
Oh, my gosh.
Do you think he breaks Jack's record? Why or why not?
Well, Ricky, you're going to have to give me some help here. How close is he to his record?
We'll just say that what you said is yes, he breaks the record, and that's the end of the discussion. Because
okay, absolutely. He will beat the record.
Close is not a fair question because close is 1 or 2. He's not 1 or 2. But what he is he's got more than anybody that's ever even thought about picking up a club would have. And I honestly think that he's not done. And I think he could win. Honestly, I think he wins 1 this year. You heard it here first. Based on the way he's playing, at the comfort level that he is at, and how healthy he looks and feels and talks, I think he wins 1 this year. I don't think it's over, but you said it, that he wins, he breaks the record, and that's double stamped it right there. We got it. And your final question of your hashtag Wednesday Match Play. Not a lot of people have been on the Friday Foursome and the hashtag Wednesday Match Play. And Jesus Martinez, who is one of the first maybe 3 or 5 members of the golf community, was on as the general manager of Papago Golf Course in Phoenix. And then he was on as the director of golf at Topgolf. On his Wednesday Match Play as the director of golf at Topgolf, he announced that he was leaving Topgolf and going to be a GM at a new club. So he's going to be the first to make a 3rd appearance, but you've made a 2nd. Not many have been able to say that. But that all being said, what's next?
What's next for me?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to keep on going with the Ladies Dream Golf as long as I have people who want to play, and as long as I can support a professional golfer. It's kind of become my thing, and that's what I want to do. I have 3 more years probably before I retire from my real job, and so I'm looking forward to. I got an RV. I just got an RV last year. So I'm looking forward to hopping in the RV and driving around and watching golf tournaments and playing golf.
That is really cool. Make sure that Naples is on that list. Make sure you keep Phoenix and Scottsdale on that list.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming in a pinch in the last inning to be able to, and it was later than normal, but that's okay. We got it done. It's bedtime for us here on the East Coast. You've still probably got daylight where you're at. So
No.
Thank you again for coming on the show. This was fantastic. This will get shared on Facebook and Twitter and Eat Sleep Golf's website and the Google Plus golf community, all over the place. I'll have a link to you before you know it. And as always, on the hashtag Wednesday Match Plays, you have to remember to eat, sleep, golf.